Hi everyone, I'm Maimah Karmo and you're watching Breed TV. Today we're seeing double on Breed TV. We have two sisters that were twins, Tonya and Sonya, and Kiana, Wooten, and they're both amazing, fearless advocates, and I can't wait to share their stories with all of you. So before we start, this whole energy of Breed is really about giving patients and people who love them a safe space to come to breathe and to exhale throughout their breast cancer journey. So in the spirit of breathing, we're going to start with a guided meditation. Close your eyes. You can put your hand on your chest or your heart and repeat the words I'm gonna say after me. I embody love.
I embody love.
I embody light.
I embody light.
I embody peace.
I embody peace.
I am grounded.
I am grounded.
My breath is calm.
My breath is calm.
I am a warrior.
I am a warrior.
I am a thriver.
I am a thriver.
I am a thriver.
I am a blessed and divine being.
I am a blessed and divine being.
I am me.
I am me.
Thank you. So we're seeing double. I see Tonya and Sonya, who are twin sisters. And then I see Kiana, who is wearing this beautiful bright pink. You look fabulous, by the way. You all do look fabulous. I want to start off with having the viewers learn more about your stories. Why don't we start with Kiana and share your story with our viewers?
I felt a lump. I didn't necessarily think it was anything of importance. Ever since I was a young girl, during that time of the month, I would get, cysts underneath my armpits or in my breast. So that's kind of like what I thought it was. It just kind of just didn't go away. And one day my husband was just like, I really think that you should go get that checked. So I went to the doctor. I really didn't want to because I'm like, he doesn't know what he's talking about. He's not a woman. I know my body. During the physical, and they were like, well, we don't really think it's anything, but just to be on the safe side, you can go get a mammogram. And after waiting 2 weeks for the appointment for the mammogram, they did the 3D mammogram because I had like really small, dense breasts. And then something strange kind of happened. They took me in the back and they were like, we want to do an ultrasound. So I'm like, okay, that's not what my doctor ordered, but okay, whatever. And then they're like, the radiologist is going to come and talk to you, which had never happened before in any of the times that I've went to go get any type of test done, as far as like radiology is concerned. He's, looking at the pictures, and then he says to me right there, he's like, I'm like 99% sure this is something cancerous. Now, if something was wrong, I was thinking to hear it from my actual doctor. There's this strange guy here telling me, and I honestly don't know what else he said. He could have said, a whole bunch of other things, but all I heard was 99% sure. And then like my mind just went blank and I just felt numb. And I'm like, what is happening? Like, this has to be a dream. This can't be real. I was 34 years old at the time, which I think is why my doctor was a little reluctant, to even send me to get the mammogram because of my age. Like I said, I was by myself and I'm like, I have to drive home. How am I supposed to drive like this? I'm like, what do I do? What do I tell my husband? What do I tell my family? Do I tell them anything right now? It was just so overwhelming. And, when I got home and my husband was home and I just came out and said it, and he's like, wait, what? And I'm like, listen, this is what the doctor is saying. Now I have to wait to get a biopsy, and like that waiting, now you still have to wait like another almost 2 weeks in order to get the results. Like, it was just a crazy month for me, so I was like on edge for like literally a month from when, I found out this is what they suspect to them doing the biopsies. And it was actually October 1st, 2019 that I got the call.
Thanks for sharing. I hear a lot of women who are younger saying the same thing, that they were told they were too young and they had to, be their own advocate to push for screening. Although it's hard having a diagnosis, it's just good that you knew to push for yourself and get diagnosed in time, because as you know, breast cancer is more aggressive in younger women and in women of color, particularly Black women. So glad you spoke up and that you're here today to share more of your story with us. All right, so next we're going to meet two sisters, Tonya and Sonya. Tell me about what is like your diagnosis and what happened, and then I want to also hear Sonya's story as your sister and your twin sister, how you guys supported each other.
We had the genetic testing done in 2015 because we have a family history of breast cancer. They recommend that we get mammograms twice a year due to our family history, and with the genetic testing being done, we both tested positive for BRCA1 gene mutation. So in January of 2019, when I went in for my mammogram, I noticed that I had a little, like a pea-sized knot underneath my armpit. So when I had the mammogram done, I actually had a 3D mammogram as well, because we both have dense breast tissues. And they called me back in a week later because they said they needed to get a clearer reading of the mammogram because they noticed a small nodule, pea-sized lump. So went back in and got it done. Then I went to my breast specialist a few days after. She said everything looked fine. And I mentioned the lump to her, and she said that my lymph nodes may just be swollen, but it should be okay. If it starts to get bigger, just let them know. So that was in January, and then over the course of the next few months, I noticed that it started to get larger. So I scheduled an appointment to go back in. They did an ultrasound. It had gotten bigger, and then they recommended that I do a biopsy. So in my mind, I kind of already knew because of my family history. I had a strong feeling that it was going to be breast cancer. So when I went back in and I had the biopsy done, of course, they tell you they'll call you back within 2 to 3 days. But the time frame started to linger and no one had called me back. So I was constantly calling in. The anticipation and anxiety, like Kiana said, it just had me in a tizzy. So they finally ended up calling me back, and they confirmed that it was breast cancer, early stages, invasive ductal carcinoma, and I am triple negative as well. So yeah, and things kind of went from there with the surgeries, chemo, radiation, reconstructive surgeries.
Yeah. So thanks for sharing your story. So having your sister learn she has breast cancer and is your twin sister, so your bond is even, genetically closer. How did that impact you?
Well, the day that I found out, it was devastating, and the entire time it felt like I had it as well, because we are one. Yeah, it was a really rough time. But I was there with her the entire time and showed continued support, and that's how we got through it.
Did you guys get biomarker testing?
No, I didn't.
I did.
Did you understand what biomarker testing was and why the importance of getting it and the benefit to your treatment journey and picking out the right treatment plan and all that?
I just kind of wanted to know because I found out during that time that my older sister actually had breast cancer.
Was she diagnosed before you, or did you find out?
Yes.
Did you not know before you had that breast cancer that she had breast cancer?
No, she actually did not tell us. And we kept asking her, like, what's wrong? We noticed that she didn't look the same. She just looked like something was wrong, like medically. And she kept saying, I'm okay. And then like when I called her and told her, then she told me, and I'm like, wait, what? This is a very important conversation that we needed to have. So I could have been more prepared and more aware of things. And I'm like, why would you keep that from us? And her reasoning was she didn't want to feel like a burden to any of us.
I want to delve into that because a lot of people don't share, especially in the Black community. They don't want to burden someone. They think that they're going to just pray to God and it's going to go away. We keep these secrets that can actually harm ourselves or somebody we love. And so it's just so crazy that she had breast cancer, didn't say anything, then you get diagnosed. You have to talk about these things or else we won't figure out how to end this disease in our community.
As soon as I did the testing and it turned out that I did have a mutated gene. It wasn't BRCA1 or BRCA2, which is all that I ever heard about. So my mutated gene was in my ATM RNA. So they did testing in the DNA and in the RNA. Nothing was detected in the DNA, which was weird, but it did show up in the RNA testing. So it was 2 separate tests that I had done. And thank God that I did, because if I had just went with the regular testing, I wouldn't have known about the mutated gene. So when I found out that I was positive for that, I did tell all of my siblings, hey, listen, you guys need to get tested. I feel like a lot of my siblings just kind of brushed it off, and to this day, I can't tell you whether they got the testing or not. And to me, I don't understand why you wouldn't want to do that. You have children. I have a young daughter. So now that I know that I have that and there's a 50% chance that I pass that gene on to her, I definitely want to have that conversation with her when she's of age and, go through the proper channels and the proper steps and talk about our family history. In our house, we knew that people in our family had cancer, but it's not something that we've really talked about. You know what I mean? It's not something that we elaborated on. And once I found out the results, my decision was very simple. I opted for a bilateral mastectomy because of the mutated gene, because I'm like, I don't want to have to go through this again, although you can still get breast cancer in the breast tissue. That was my final decision. I mean, they kept saying, are you sure? Because we could just do one. And I'm like, no. We're not going to do one. We're going to do both. And that's it.
It's interesting that you knew about it, Kiana, but you didn't know about it, Tonya. I think there's a lack of people understanding what biomarker testing is and how it's so important to inform making the right decisions. In terms of you getting your treatment in place, how would you then educate other women about the importance of knowing about biomarker testing and why it's important to have it before selecting your treatment plan? I'll start with Kiana.
I think it's really important because it has to be personalized and geared towards what's best for you, and not just kind of generalize, okay, well, you have this cancer, so we'll do A, B, C, and D. Everyone's course of treatment should be personalized and geared towards what they actually need and not just so standardized, which I feel like happens a lot with people that don't do the biomarker testing. It's kind of well, let's try this. Like with my sister, she was actually triple positive. So her course of treatment was so much more than what I had to go through because just a lot of things just didn't work for her. So I feel like if she had maybe the biomarker testing, maybe that could have kind of slimmed down all the aggressive things that she had to go through that didn't even work for her.
So I'm glad you're now speaking up about it and sharing your story, because it's really important to educate other women about this, especially women who are young and of color. Now, I know Sonya and Tonya, you're twins. You have so much of the same DNA. How did cancer impact you both, and how are you using your voice to make a difference?
We have a heavy family history of cancer on both my mom's side and my dad's side. My mother has had breast cancer 4 times. And if she would have had the biomarker testing done, she wouldn't have continuously kept getting lumpectomies, because she's triple negative. She's had 3 lumpectomies. She just finally had a partial mastectomy. The area that my hometown is a rural community, so the doctors there are not the best. Last year, she was diagnosed again with breast cancer. And I stressed the importance to her, Mom, please make sure that they do the genetic testing to see if you carry the BRCA1 gene mutation. She initially had breast cancer in 2002. She's just now having the genetic testing done to confirm that she does carry the BRCA1 gene mutation.
2 of the times that she had breast cancer, she didn't tell us. She didn't want to bother us. She didn't want to worry us. I said, Mom, this is very important. You cannot keep that away from us. We're here to support you, and go through this journey with you. And we have been each time, but lack of awareness in the community.
I see a common thread here. I mean, Kiana talked about her sister having breast cancer and not telling her until she got diagnosed. And then you have breast cancer, Tonya, and your mother has had breast cancer and didn't talk about it at all. What do you think is it about our community that we hide from our loved ones? Important information that could even not just save our lives, but save their lives as well. Because even if you're afraid, even if you don't want to be a burden, you always think about, if I tell my daughters, my sister, my husband, my brother, there could be a mutation or an impact on them. Why do we not talk about these things?
I think it stems back from their generation. This is how things were done back in the day. Back in the day, I should say. Things were kept hush-hush. So, when I was diagnosed and I told my mom, I said, listen, I'm going public. And she didn't agree with it when I told her that, I'm doing a post. I want people to know, anyone that has any questions, please feel free to reach out to me. The process, the testing, any question whatsoever, I'm here, I'm available.
We just encourage and motivate on getting your mammograms and getting your breast checked. See, because a lot of people think because you're younger, it can't happen to me. They told us by the age of 50, with the BRCA testing, the genetics testing, that we would have breast cancer possibility by the age of 50. Never in life expecting that it would happen at 37 years old.
Right. We have an older sister and an older brother, and our cousins as well. We've been stressing the importance to them of, to get the genetic testing done, but they don't want to do it.
Seriously.
They don't want to do it.
They don't take it seriously.
Yep. Their response is, if I get it, I just get it. I mean, there's no need to get tested. Yeah, there is a need to get tested because you can take preventative measures.
This is quite shocking to me. There's a generational issue here where people aren't talking about cancer in the families. People are dying of cancer and not sharing it. You both, as independent women, found your cancers. You become advocates. You're sharing on social media. You're talking to your mother about it, who for 20 years didn't do all the things she should have been doing to be her best advocate. You really are trying to break generational, in a sense, a curse, right? Like a curse that's a lack of education and health literacy and advocacy. But yet people are still willing to put it under the rug and say, well, we don't want to deal with this. And I think that, all these things are so important. I'm sure that you've learned so much because of your advocacy, about genetics, biomarkers, triple negative, metastatic, screening policy. You learn a lot. You realize there's a whole world out there that you should know about to keep yourself alive and healthy. And you're investing in your future for your families, but yet they're not investing in themselves. What do you think you can do to change how their behavior is? A sense of we just don't want to know.
Well, I'm constantly talking about it in my family. I'm always bringing it up. I'm always asking, have you got that scheduled appointment to get tested yet? Whether they want to hear it or not, we're talking about it.
Yeah.
Especially after you've seen what my mother has gone through and what I've gone through.
Right.
And then I'm also, with the BRCA testing done, I'm high risk for ovarian cancer. So I'm voluntarily having a hysterectomy next week. I'm having it done because if it lowers my chances or risk of getting ovarian cancer, yes, let's take the steps to get it taken care of. So that's one less thing I have to worry about.
Even my doctor, for the past few years, once I told her my history and once I told her about Tonya, she immediately recommended that I have a bilateral mastectomy and remove my ovaries. And I'm not opposed to it. It's a major decision to make, but I have to think about everything that my mom and sister went through. So I'm definitely not opposed to it. It's just a major decision that, you have to decide on.
Yeah. And so, I really feel like when you know better, you have to do better. And this is really hard to digest, that people are still willing to know better but not do better. Kiana, what can we do to ensure that our families are educated about not just cancer, but testing? What would you do in an ideal world to make a difference in this way?
For me, just like Tonya and Sonya said, I kind of just throw it in their face all the time. And I don't mean to say it that way, but that's what happens. I'm constantly talking about it to the point where I know that they're tired of hearing it. But I'm also tired of saying it. So it works both ways. And it's very frustrating to me that, you can sit here and, call me your loved one and see everything that I've gone through. And here I am trying to, give you the tools and the education to simply do a test. I'm not asking you to give up a kidney or anything. It's very simple. I don't know why we have that mentality a lot of the times. It's embedded in us to be like the strong Black woman. You don't need anybody else. You can do things on your own. You don't need to tell everyone your business. To me, this is not telling my business. This is me advocating and trying to spread awareness so that the next person may not have to go through everything that I had to go through. Like I was hospitalized 7 times. I had sepsis twice. My implants had to come out twice. I essentially had 3 surgeries in less than a year. Why would you want to have to go through that if you don't have to? And take the preventative measures. Like Tonya said, I'm actually going to my GYN in 2 weeks to talk about a hysterectomy, because I also have a higher chance of getting ovarian cancer. And whatever I can do to try to lower that risk, that's what I want to do. Although some people say that it's an extreme measure, but you're not in my shoes. So how can you say that? It's not extreme. Like my mom said to me, she was like, well, you can get another job. You can't get another you. I'm like, you know what? You're right. I have a family. I'm a mother. I have to do what's best for me. My daughter needs me. My husband needs me. And that's how I thought about things.
Much like Tonya, when I got diagnosed, my family, I'm from West Africa, and my mom is a nurse. She's amazing. But they're all very like, don't tell anybody. Just let's keep it quiet. And they called it the C. Maimah has the C. I'm like, cancer? You mean that C? And they were like, just don't do anything. So of course, knowing me, I went and got on the local news. I wrote a magazine article and put it out in the media. I got into Essence. I was like, people are dying of cancer. Why am I keeping this C word hush, hush, hush thing? It's crazy. You're creating a legacy for your family that could save millions of lives. So I just want to applaud you, recognize that even though they're not open or accepting, you're doing the right thing, because there's no other person like you that exists in this world. And then there never will be anyone that exists that's like you. So thank you for all you're doing and for your bravery and being so fearless. The biomarker helps you figure out what plan is best for you. But when you have the genetic mutation, like a BRCA mutation, did you have any fear around that yourselves? Like knowing that you had it, or was it more of like, now I know better, I can start to be proactive? Tonya?
Okay, so normally they tell you don't start getting your mammograms until you turn 40. But of course, in 2015, after we found out we were positive for a BRCA1 gene mutation, we started getting our mammograms twice a year and MRIs once a year. I just try to remain positive through it all, and keep the faith that I've gone through, all my treatments and everything. It won't return. I'm gonna get this hysterectomy done, so I will lower my chances and risks of ovarian cancer, and I'll be here for a long time to see my son grow up and see my grandchildren grow up and continue to push forward, and just know that there are people out here, same as me, that are unaware and don't know, and just try to be here for those people and let them know how important it is to continue to push forward each day, and you can get through this no matter what.
That's beautiful. I think that one thing that can turn that sense of futility of like, I can't do anything, into a sense of fearlessness is knowing that you can use your time however long you're here, right? So I'm triple negative as well. And back then there was no treatment targeting triple negative breast cancer. I literally held a coin in my hand one day, and I said, okay, on one side of the coin is this paralyzing fear, and the other side of the coin is a badass, fearless woman that can do a lot to change other people's lives. So I'm going to flip the coin, and whenever I feel afraid, I'm going to push forward. And I never stopped, and I'm here 16 years later as of last month. So I'm living proof that it's possible. It's possible. You're possible. It's possible. And I would say just dream really big. You have a lot to say. You're changing generational health curses. You're trying to transform how you teach your son and your sister and your family. So That is your blessing in the world. That's your gift. Just use your fear in a way that can, become good in the world, and it'll just keep going forward, and you'll be here much, much longer than just for a long, long time. I want to ask Kiana, so there's a gap in access to getting biomarker testing. There've been a lot of reports about not being offered to Black women. How do we change this disparity in terms of lack of education about it, lack of access, lack of being offered, and then, how do we change the system? What would you recommend that people do?
Even when you are diagnosed with cancer, why isn't it just standard that you would get the genetic testing and the biomarker? So that way you would know. Versus, some people get it, some people don't. I kind of never understood that part. Like my sister didn't get it until after I told her I had got it. But she was diagnosed with breast cancer before I was. So why was that not offered to you? I don't understand that. So I think as a whole, just like I said, getting the information out there, putting yourself out there. I know a lot of times I post things and stories, like when I'm doing treatment, I'll record it and post it. And some people don't like it, and that's okay. You can scroll past it. A lot of people are like, oh, you're an attention seeker or things like that. And I'm like, that's not what I'm here to do. I'm here to showcase, just because you see me and I, have this makeup on and I'm posing pretty in a picture, there's a lot of aftermath to cancer that people don't know about, that that we go through. It's almost like we traded one ailment and now have 3 other ailments. You know what I mean? Like, I'm 37 and now all of a sudden I have osteoporosis from the chemotherapy. So now I have to do infusions for osteoporosis. People don't even understand what our bodies go through in the aftermath of everything. So I feel like it's just really important for us to, if we're going to be advocates, we have to be as open and honest as possible and let them see, oh, okay, I had a good day today, but in 2 days I may not have such a good day. But this is our honest journey.
I think people like you, women like you, are so important to this space as Black women, as young women, to share your stories. But I'm really thankful for you being so authentic and so honest. I want to ask you three, one by one, what would you say is your one word for your life? We'll start with Sonya.
Fearless.
Hey, you stole my word. That's what I was gonna say.
I would say brave for you. Braveheart.
Braveheart and fearless.
You two are so adorable, so fearless and braveheart. What about you, Kiana?
Warrior.
Fearless, brave-hearted warrior. So one of my things I like to do is pull cards, and I was listening to you talking, and I pulled this card, and the word I pulled is hope. It says, in your life, whatever you're dealing with or walking through, there is always hope. That's the first card on top. Fearless, brave-hearted, warrior, and hope. Everyone, there you have it. Thanks for watching this episode. It's been really amazing meeting Kiana, meeting Tonya and Sonya, and really hearing how they're trying to break generations of mistrust, of lack of education or advocacy. In the Black community, we don't discuss things a lot. We don't discuss our cancers. We don't discuss what happens to us with our health and how that can negatively impact other people. It's beautiful to see how Kiana, Tonya, and Sonya are changing their family generational history by being advocates, by sharing their truth through social media, by being advocates in the community, and by really just talking about this in this kind of forum. As Kiana mentioned, it's not always easy to share your truth. People can judge you for sharing, thinking that you're trying to get attention or that you're doing too much. But for us, doing too much means that someone gets to live longer. And so it's worth it. So if you're watching this, make sure you listen, learn. If you have questions, reach out to us with the questions. We're happy to help. And thanks for being a part of this Bree TV episode. We love you. Love yourself. Love your loved ones. Take care of yourselves. And we'll see you soon. Bye for now.